Good afternoon. The number of new cases of COVID-19 continues to rise. Quebec is reporting more than 5,000 new cases today, and 59 people were admitted to hospital in the last 24 hours. Quebecers, though, are still trying to get tested. And Ian, there are still long lineups outside the testing centres.
Long lineups getting longer, Mitsumi. With the COVID surge, there's a high demand to get tested, and adding to the problem, the labs processing the tests are over capacity. This morning, COVID testing centres in Kirkland and St. Jerome were already experiencing long lineups, stretching hundreds of meters. Some people had to wait up to 2 hours in the cold to get a test. Others were handed vouchers with appointment times to come back later. Now, yesterday, Health Minister Christian Dubé asked those who are symptomatic to take a rapid test to help confirm whether their symptoms are COVID-related, hoping to relieve some of the pressure on the testing centres. But adding those whose rapid test is positive would still have to wait in line and get a PCR test. Now, as many wait for a test, the majority of Quebecers are still waiting to get their booster shot. As of yesterday, the appointments are only open to those aged 65 and up. Dubé tweeting this morning that there were more than 315,000 vaccination appointments made and 73,000 vaccines administered yesterday. 64,000 of those were booster shots. But with so many lacking the booster at the moment and a run on rapid tests, many are forced to queue up at testing centres.
We went to a kid-parent game, and again, somebody tested positive, so we're out here just making sure we're all safe.
This is the third place I've come to trying to find a test, and I've gone to the Jewish this morning. I spent an hour and a half yesterday waiting for the testing in Dollard to be told it was $175, so I just want to be tested at this point and go back to work and be safe.
We are giving coupons for the people to come back later because we don't find this fair to wait for hours outside and they're freezing. Then we would like they get warm in their car, go back home and take a coffee and come back at the time we're giving the coupon.
Now, Ian, we're also hearing reports that the military has been asked to help out in Quebec.
Yeah, discussions are ongoing with the federal government. Public Security Minister Geneviève Guilbeault's office confirmed Quebec has relayed its needs to the federal government regarding the rollout of booster shots, but her office says no formal request for military assistance has yet to be made. Now, yesterday, Emergency Preparedness Minister Bill Blair announced the Canadian Rangers would provide assistance with COVID outbreaks in northern Quebec. Some Rangers have already been deployed to the community of Bonne-Espérance near the border with Labrador, and the federal government says it's ready to provide further assistance if requested. Mitsumi.
Thanks very much, Ian. In light of the rise in cases, Mayor Valérie Plante has announced that Montreal has declared a state of emergency. Now, Angela, what's that going to mean?
Well, Mitsumi, it means the city will have more powers to act quickly if need be. The mayor calls it an extra tool in the city's toolbox to ensure public safety. Now, the Mayor Valérie Plante also announced today that the city had 1,455 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday. The press conference was held virtually because the mayor is currently at home recovering herself from COVID-19. Now, one of the first things she says the city plans to do under the state of emergency is to increase the number of beds available to the homeless. There are currently about 100 beds missing. They'll also be doubling the funds available in the budget starting tomorrow for organizations that work with the homeless, and that will also help them to act quickly if there are any outbreaks in shelters. Now, the state of emergency will also help to make sure public services continue. So public workers who can't stay home, for example, firefighters or blue-collar workers, they're making sure that they have all the protective equipment they need, and as well as things like rapid tests. Also, the mayor had a message for Montrealers. I'll let you hear from her.
We went through a lot together. We will go through this one again, this wave. I ask you to be very supportive of follow the rules, follow the different measures that are there, and to really decide on the people and events that you're planning on doing this during the holidays, because it is a very contagious variant. So we will go through this together. Once again, I'm sure of that.
Now, the state of emergency was first enacted in March of 2020, and it actually stayed in effect until August or the end of August of this year. That's when it was lifted. As for Mayor Valérie Plante's health, I asked her about that. She says she is fatigued, she's been losing her voice, but otherwise is on the mend. Mitsumi?
Thanks very much, Angela. And despite the surge of COVID cases and the warnings against travel, Quebecers are still traveling this holiday season. And this morning, Trudeau Airport was packed with people waiting to get on the planes. Now, Billy, what are the travelers saying?
It's interesting, Mitsumi. They did come in first thing in the morning just as the sun was coming up, and they were going to places in the sun like Punta Cana and Havana, Cuba, Cancun, Mexico. They are saying that there is a lot of tension. A lot of people told me, for example, that they needed to get out of town because, quite frankly, they just needed to put the day-to-day life behind them, and they needed to take a trip to a sunny destination for their mental health. And a lot of people also pointed out that sometimes that when you go to one of these places, Cuba is a big example, they point out that, look, the virus restrictions there are more sanitary and better than they are in Montreal. It doesn't make any difference if I travel or not, even though the federal government is saying not to do so unless it's essential. Here's what two people told me who were traveling to Cuba.
Cuba's really safe. They're all vaccinated. They mask just with each other.
It's stuck at home right now. All my friends aren't able to travel, are losing it. So I think it's pretty much important. I think we're going to Cuba, so it's fairly safe. We're very safe.
Now, just as there are some people who are chasing the sun going to the airport, there are other people who are going to the airport for the simple reason that they want to get back together with their family. They've got family living in other parts of Canada or maybe parts of the United States. For them, Omicron is more top of mind, and so there is a bit more tension in the air as they consider boarding a plane and meeting with family. I spoke to one Toronto man who was doing just that. Here's what he had to say.
Admittedly, you have to think twice about traveling, but taking as many precautions as I can, and then just trying to at least have some semblance of a holiday with the family. So.
Now, one of the things that travelers are having to deal with are a battery of different restrictions based on the country that they're traveling to. One family I spoke with, for example, missed their flight, even though they were there 2 hours early, and they did that because they hadn't uploaded information through an app that you need if you want to go to the Dominican Republic. Nobody I spoke with voiced any concerns so far about what it's going to be like coming back. If there are going to be any surprises or hiccups on the way back to Canada, that's something we're going to find out about later on. Simi?
Thank you very much, Billy. And that's Billy Shields at Trudeau Airport. The NHL is postponing an additional 5 games slated for Thursday, and the league is effectively shut down until after Christmas. The league will begin its holiday break tomorrow and will not resume play until December 27th at the earliest. Just 2 games are on the schedule tonight. The league has already postponed 49 games so far this season. The health minister says we're waging a war against a variant, and he's imposed new closures and restrictions. We get more from Andrew Brennan.
As the cases of COVID-19 surge, the number of people in the streets of downtown Montreal dwindle. There was no last hurrah as bars closed on Crescent Street. Restaurants and those with food licenses can now only serve until 10 p.m. Some pubs, even if they could stay open, chose to shut down as we return to familiar restrictions.
This isn't new, right? And I think that's why you're seeing a little more calm from the industry. But I won't say this lightly. I won't tell you, or I can't reiterate enough how disappointed and sad everybody is.
Cinemas, theaters, and gyms are also closed until further notice. Among some business owners, there is a sense closures and restrictions were inevitable, despite the cost.
The last thing we want to do is lay anyone off. I will do anything. I will move mountains to not do that. I don't want to do that, and I don't really think I'm going to have to.
Schools closed early for the holidays, and except for offering vaccinations and distributing rapid tests, no student will be back in class until at least January 10th. For some parents, remote learning is not ideal, but the best under the circumstances.
Right now, I think that people are just in reaction mode. The fears. And of course, if we can have everything set up and ready to go for online learning, because that's also very important for kids not to keep falling further and further behind.
Teleworking is once again mandatory whenever possible, and those who have to be in the office must wear a face mask at all times. Private gatherings remain limited to 10 people from 3 households for now, but the health minister isn't ruling out more restrictions rolling out in the coming days.
We'll take, again, tough decision. We don't like that, but I think that's the only way to manage this crisis is to react as quickly as possible with the resources that we have.
Christian Dubé calls this a war and says all Quebecers need to limit their contacts as much as possible. Andrew Brennan, CTV News.